I just reached the age of adulthood and already took a knife for the crown prince, saving his life. The emperor was overjoyed and granted a marriage. Asking for my name, father hurriedly stepped forward, respectful and pleased, slightly bowing his head. Your Majesty, this is my daughter, Xianluna. And so, Xianluna took my place and married the crown prince, while I married the neglected second prince. On our wedding night, the crown prince went to the white moonlight concubine. Xianluna was left alone in the empty room, becoming the joke of the imperial palace. Meanwhile, on my wedding night, I conceived the great Xia dynasty's first grandson. A year later, the crown prince died, and his death was mysterious and unclear. Xianluna climbed into the old emperor's bed, enraging the empress, and was thrown into the cold palace, without the crown prince, but with a grandson. The second prince received much favor from the emperor. The barbarians invaded, and the second prince led the army to fight, defeating the barbarians in one fell swoop, rising to the position of crown prince. And I became the praised and virtuous crown princess. On the day of his ascension, as empress, I, at father's desperate plea, pardoned my sister, who had been sent to the cold palace. When we met again, her face was full of weariness, and her eyes held nothing but coldness. Why are you the empress? I am the chosen one of heaven. After saying that, without a hint of hesitation, she lunged at me, a dagger stabbing sharply into my heart. With blood dripping, I used the little strength I had left and struck her down from the city tower. But to protect my husband, he whispered in my ear, "My good empress, have a safe journey." When I opened my eyes again, it was when the whole family was discussing how to steal my Fugue. Shin family's legitimate daughter Xianluna was both virtuous and talented, sacrificing her life to save the crown prince, and had great merit. She was specially married to the crown prince. Shin family's illegitimate daughter Xianyuner was married to the second prince. One knife brought two marriages, and father was so happy holding the imperial edict. Clearly, it was my life that bought this marriage, but father planned to have Xianluna swap her marriage, hoping she could become the mother of the nation. Father, I won't swap. I will marry the second prince. Xianluna suddenly shouted loudly. It turns out, she was also reborn. Clearly, in the last life, father and my stepmother made me and my sister switch identities, causing me to marry the incompetent second prince and eventually die miserably at Xianluna's hands. Now that I've returned to this life, I will definitely take back everything that belongs to me. Nonsense. The crown prince was born of the empress. Marrying him is the empress' command, a life of enjoyment. The second prince was born of a palace maid, never favored. Marrying such a person will only lead to being mistreated in the palace, and your future will be a life of suffering. Father and my stepmother couldn't bear to see Xianluna suffer, so they scolded her. But in the last life, it was me who married the second prince. But they said, marrying the second prince is already reaching high. You grew up in the countryside. Your conduct isn't fit to marry the crown prince. Unlike Xianluna, who's a talented lady. Father, the crown prince is weak and sickly. If Xianelady hadn't saved his life, how could he still be alive now? Even though the second prince isn't favored, he's still the emperor's son, and in the future, he can also inherit the throne. Xianluna whispered in her stepmother's ear for a while, and the stepmother's face kept shifting between pale and dark. She bit her lip, as if making some big decision, then turned to whisper in father's ear for a while too. I watched them whispering secretly and quietly finished a whole pot of tea. Because of Xianluna, this matter was put on hold. Some days later, sure enough, a flood suddenly broke out in Qingzhou. Father listened to Xianluna's words and made preparations in advance, blocking the flood's destruction. Not only did he prevent the people from being displaced, but he also earned the emperor's praise. Because of this, father was promoted to Duke of the State, and the stepmother became a first-rank lady, making them believe in Xianluna's prophecy even more. Father once again brought up the matter of changing the marriage arrangement. He said, "Yuner, you'll marry the crown prince. Don't forget you're using Luna's name. Don't slip up." I nodded obediently and said unhurriedly, "I'm willing to marry the crown prince, but I want a 10-li dowry procession. You're asking for too much. Your father is just a third-rank military officer. Where would he get so much money to buy things? Besides, Luna also needs a dowry." The stepmother looked a bit flustered. I didn't expect her to lose control of her emotions like this. It makes sense though. The stepmother loves money so much, she wouldn't be willing to spit out what's already swallowed. I put down the teacup and glared, then returned my mother's dowry to me. If I hadn't gone through a previous life, I wouldn't even know how much dowry my mother brought when she married my father. In my previous life, Xianluna flaunted in front of me on her wedding day, bringing my mother's 10-mile long red wedding procession and marrying the crown prince in full glory. Father even advised me to be magnanimous. Luna is marrying the crown prince. We need to give face to the royal family. But when it was my turn to marry the crown prince, there was nothing left. The stepmother was a bit shocked. How do you know? My maternal grandfather is a royal merchant. How could your little county magistrate's daughter compare in terms of dowry? You know well what's in the warehouse. I looked at my father with dissatisfaction. His gaze was a bit evasive, and he didn't deny it, just muddling through. You have to consider your younger sister. I looked firmly at him and threatened, or I'll inform the emperor. It was me who took the knife, not Luna. What do you think about that? Father finally revealed his true face and got angry. Are you seeking death, betraying us? You won't escape either. In that case, let's die together. In my past life, I always considered that tiny bit of father-daughter affection, always thinking my father loved me, until later I realized it was nothing but repeated manipulation. I said it very calmly. Maybe he saw my realization, or maybe he was thinking how to scheme against me. They actually stayed quiet for a while, until Xianxia spoke generously. Father, mother, give that little bit of dowry to my sister. I'll be the empress in the future. I don't need it. The empress. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then thank you, sister. Xianxia looked at me with dissatisfaction, sneering. Let me tell you, Xianxia, marrying the crown prince isn't a good thing. That crown prince already has someone he loves. You won't have any favor. I thought to myself, isn't it better than the second prince? That good, for nothing snake who lives off others, and will even bite back at you. If Xianxia knew that the second prince, aside from looking decent on the outside, was just a useless man with a strong exterior, she definitely wouldn't be laughing. In the previous life, if I hadn't worn the mask and fought alongside him, how could the second prince have repelled the barbarians? In this era where a woman's worth is tied to her husband, how could a woman outshine her husband's brilliance? The sad thing is, I worked so hard to build a kingdom for him, and in the end, the second prince still betrayed me and gave me the final blow. I married on the same day as Xianxia. On the day of the wedding, I smoothly received my dowry and got married in a grand and glorious fashion. The crown prince's betrothal gifts were really generous. In my past life, I was truly jealous of Xianxia. Those crates of gold and silver, those jades, being carried in like piles of cabbage. This time, the wave of good fortune finally hit me, and I picked it up effortlessly. Just like in the last life, the second prince still only sent 2 boxes of cheap stuff, some ordinary calligraphy and paintings, and basic jewelry. After all, he's not favored and doesn't have anything impressive to offer. Xianxia's little face visibly turned grim. Well, she was the one who insisted on marrying the second prince. Sister, what's so great about your husband's stuff? Earning it yourself is what really shows skill. The stepmother chimed in from the side. All thanks to Luna's cleverness. This flood not only got your father and me promoted, but we also made quite a bit of silver. She really brought honor to the family. Xianxia was beyond smug. My dowry was earned by myself. Xianxia's dowry was about the same as mine. Even the wedding dress and phoenix crown looked almost identical. The wedding dress was brocade with golden threads, embroidered with eastern pearls and jade. The phoenix crown was made of golden thread, inlaid with pearls and gems. Looking at it, I finally got it. They really raked in a lot from that flood, but I'm not the least bit jealous. What I have is all I deserve. The crown prince didn't come to fetch the bride. It is said that his health hasn't fully recovered and he shouldn't be overexerting. I remember when I blocked the knife, he fainted and wasn't injured. Can't come. Was it on purpose? The second prince, however, came looking all proper. Xianxia was even more delighted. The procession for the crown prince's wedding included military generals, the crown prince's trusted Han Lin, and the palace's wet nurses. The swaying palanquin made me dizzy, and several times I almost vomited. It rocked back and forth all the way to the crown prince's residence, Eastern Palace. The room was luxurious and magnificent, with countless rare treasures. In the inner room, there was a sweet fragrance burning, and just sitting by the bed made me feel intoxicated and heavenly. The dizziness I felt earlier gradually faded away. When the crown prince lifted my bridal veil, I was still immersed in the scent of the room, almost unable to extricate myself. The crown prince is handsome too, with sword-like brows and starry eyes. Describing him this way is just perfect. I'm not bad looking either, with beautiful skin and a white complexion. The tear mole at the corner of my right eye makes me even more seductive and charming. The crown prince is a decent match for me. We sat together on the edge of the bed. When our eyes met, the crown prince clearly froze for a moment. Xianxia, not Xianxia. I froze too. How did you recognize me so quickly? I look very similar to Shenluna, except for the tear mole at the corner of my eye. We're almost identical. Only the family can tell us apart. Why could the Crown Prince recognize me at a glance? The Crown Prince stared at me for a few moments, thought for a bit, and reached out to touch the tear mole at the corner of my eye, muttering to himself, "It's real." A warm breath came toward me, and the desire that was barely contained started spilling from his eyes. I actually anticipated his next move. The Crown Prince curved his lips into a smile. "Shenluna doesn't have a tear mole at the corner of her right eye. The one with the tear mole is Shenelity." I touched the tear mole at the corner of my eye, puzzled, wondering how the Crown Prince knew this information. "Forget it. I don't intend to keep acting under Shenluna's name." I quickly knelt down and softly said, "Crown Prince, please forgive me. I am indeed Shenelity." The Crown Prince wasn't angry. He gently lifted my chin, looking thoughtful. "Duke of the state, to deceive with fake means, sending your concubine daughter over. What is your intention?" "By the Emperor's imperial edict, I am betrothed to the legitimate daughter of the Shen family." "I am indeed the legitimate daughter of the Shen family. My mother was the first wife, but she passed away early. Father favored his concubine and destroyed his wife. I was sent to the countryside when I was young, by coincidence. I blocked a blade for His Highness." I lifted my sleeve, revealing the long knife scar on my arm. The Crown Prince gave a cold glance. "Do you know this counts as deceiving the Emperor?" I shook my head and explained. "The Emperor granted the marriage mainly because of my merits in saving his life. It was indeed me. The name reported was my father's, so how could I be deceiving the Emperor?" The Crown Prince smiled faintly, sharp-tongued. The Crown Prince didn't get angry, nor did he press any further, as I had expected. The Crown Prince didn't care who the Crown Princess was. I continued, "I want to make a deal with His Highness." The Crown Prince was surprised. "Oh, what deal?" "I know the Crown Prince is fond of consort by, and only wishes to be with her for a lifetime. I am willing to cooperate with the Crown Prince unconditionally, to be the nominal Crown Princess. I do not seek favor, only that after the Crown Prince ascends the throne, you will grant me freedom." He frowned, puzzled. "Why? This imperial palace devours people. There is only endless strife. I just want, after all this ends, to change my identity and have a safe place to live a good life." The Crown Prince remained silent for a long time. Seeing that he had no intention of asking further, I let out a sigh of relief, but he made me kneel for a long while. He sat at the edge of the bed, carefully watching me. There were 100 horses running wild in my heart, but I dared not move, my knees occasionally aching in protest. "At least I am a woman. Can't you show some pity for me?" After a long while, the Crown Prince slowly said, "Get up." He patted the edge of the bed, signaling me to sit down. I timidly sat to the side, thinking to myself, why hasn't he gone to find his Bayuiguang concubine yet? The Crown Prince grinned and playfully said, "I don't agree. The Duke of the State calling the wrong name is already an offense to the Emperor. Your silence about it is the same crime. Even if you saved me, the crime of death can be avoided, but the crime of life cannot be escaped. You have no equivalent bargaining chip to trade with me. You have no choice but to obediently stay by my side as the Crown Princess, and I will protect you." It is said that the Crown Prince is of mediocre talent, but that must be a rumor. The person before me doesn't seem easy to fool. I was somewhat stunned and speechless. Clearly, in the previous life, the Crown Prince didn't care at all about the life or death of the Crown Princess. "Why do you want to protect me, Your Highness?" I was anxious and confused, thinking, how is this Crown Prince different from the one in the previous life? The Crown Prince laughed heartily. "Isn't this obvious? Because you saved me." I relaxed a bit. This Crown Prince actually has a bit of conscience. "Do you hope I stay?" the Crown Prince asked gently. The fragrance in the room grew stronger. I didn't know why, but I felt a bit hot, a bit restless. Looking at him, I actually felt a bit thirsty, and without thinking, I got closer and blurted out the truth. "Can you do it?" After all, the Crown Prince died on Bayuiguang's bed in the last life, and I was wondering if it was from exhaustion. I quickly covered my mouth, but it seemed like it was too late. The Crown Prince was visibly angry. His eyebrows were even distorted. Who told him to be so frail? And poor me can't even ask about it. A pleasant night is short, and one night passes till dawn, I thought. The Crown Prince must have some feelings for me, right? At least in terms of appearance. He seems quite satisfied. I vaguely heard the maid urging us to go offer tea, and the moment I tried to get up, the Crown Prince pressed me down and coldly scolded, "Don't mind it." I didn't dare to move. Anyway, I was also sleepy. Half an hour later, the Crown Prince and I shared a palanquin and slowly made our way to the Empress's palace gate. Xianluna and the second prince had actually been waiting at the palace gate for half an hour, but the empress still hadn't summoned us. When I got off the palanquin, Xianluna was gritting her teeth, glaring at me. I could understand her anger. After all, in the last life, Xianluna had to walk alone to offer tea and was even punished by the empress to stand at the door for an hour. Not being able to keep the crown prince on the wedding night was the crown princess's fault, and because the second prince and I smoothly completed the ritual, the empress didn't make things difficult for us. The palace maid came out and said, "The empress summons you." The empress said, "Having children is the most important thing for the two of us now." The crown prince said unhappily, "That doesn't mean mother can burn incense in my palace." The empress smiled lightly, "Consort by S palace is cold, not suitable for childbirth. Mother knows you admire her, but having children is also your responsibility as the crown prince." Xianluna and I exchanged a knowing glance, and it became clear why we couldn't help but be drawn to the crown prince. The difference is, Xianluna was rejected by the crown prince, while I successfully consummated the marriage. But how did Xianluna from the previous life handle the wedding night situation? Xianluna's anger increased, and the sense of resentment grew stronger, probably because of the second prince's 5-minute performance in bed. After all, the second prince had long been corrupted by the palace maids and eunuchs. In the previous life, the imperial physician said I had a high fertility constitution, which is why I got pregnant with that child. Xianluna's experience last night was probably not as wonderful as she imagined. The crown prince's reaction was very indifferent. He didn't actually want to hold the empress accountable. "Brother, you are so lucky. I can only look up to you." The second prince rarely spoke. He seldom expressed his views. The crown prince sneered, "How was I last night?" The second prince smiled weakly, looking at Xianluna. Yunner tried very hard. Xianluna blushed, even covering her face with a handkerchief. The empress looked at the handkerchief and was overjoyed. "The emperor is looking forward to an heir. The Imperial Astronomical Bureau says that the Shen family's daughter has the auspicious sign of a phoenix, and will definitely give birth to a dragon child. You two need to put in more effort. This palace is waiting for your good news." No wonder I was so lucky in my previous life, sailing smoothly in the royal family, especially with a healthy belly. I just don't know if Xianluna has that kind of fortune. The empress invited us to dine together, and the food in the imperial palace was delicious. I was halfway through my meal and feeling quite pleased. Suddenly, Xianluna stood up. "I am willing to entertain the empress and present a song and dance I designed myself." Xianluna's singing voice was originally beautiful, melodious like a yellow oriole, and her dancing was also captivating, but I could barely hold back the chopsticks in my hand, really wanting to throw them away, thinking, what is Xianluna doing? Is she afraid others don't know she's Xianluna? The empress praised. "I didn't expect Yunner's song and dance to be so good," Xianluna shyly said. "Sister, yours is even better." She deliberately looked at me. "Right, sister. I was busy eating the pig's knuckle and felt a little displeased. So you were trying to make me look bad." Unfortunately, Xianluna's plan was flawed. "I'm not falling for her tricks," I honestly responded. "I only like to wield swords and knives, not good at dancing or music." The second prince smiled. "Everyone says that Xianluna is a talented and beautiful woman of the great Xia dynasty, so how could she not be? I heard that Xianelity is skilled in martial arts. Could it be that you are not Xianluna?" I thought to myself. The second prince asked so directly. Could it be that he also figured out that Xianluna is not Xianelity? The crown prince stood up without hesitation. "Your humble son has something to report. Last night the bride got into the wrong flower palanquin. My crown princess is Xianelity, not Xianluna." The crown prince is so blunt, not caring about my life or death. I put down the pork knuckle in my hand, walked to the front of the hall, knelt down, and followed the crown prince's words. "When I got married, my sister and I dressed very similarly. I almost tripped before leaving, and it was chaotic at that time. My sister and I even stood in the wrong position." The empress was furious, slamming the table. Since the bride was wrong, why wasn't she changed immediately? And yet, the marriage was consummated. I, Xianluna, and the second prince all knelt down, not daring to speak. "Isn't that Mother Empress's doing?" The scent of the aphrodisiac was so strong. After the deed was done, we only realized the bride was wrong when we woke up. The crown prince spoke plainly, not caring about the empress's face at all. I had thought that the crown prince was blaming the empress, but I didn't expect that he was clearing my name, setting a trap for the empress. The crown prince is indeed clever. Last night, between the clouds and rain, he only said for me to cooperate with him, just need to be myself. The empress's imposing manner softened quite a bit, and she became somewhat awkward. probably not expecting that her good intentions had backfired. She sighed. Since things have turned out this way, let's just go along with it. I will report this matter to the emperor. From today onwards, the crown princess will be Xianxia. I happily cowed out heavily. Thank you, Empress, for your kindness. Xianxia's attempt to be clever backfired. She was also quite frightened just now, but she was also delighted, relieved that she didn't have to bear Xianxia's name. Thinking about her own dream of becoming empress, Xianxia and I easily reclaimed our identities this way. Tomorrow, when I return home, I will no longer be Xianxia. When returning home, the crown prince said he had business and couldn't go with me, so Han Lin would bring along a generous gift and go with me to the Xin family. Xianxia stood at the door. Seeing me come alone, she laughed so hard her chest nearly touched her back. Sister, has the crown prince abandoned you? I walked past her, not wanting to pay her any attention. Han Lin, take the return gift to my father. Xianxia looked at the generous gift Han Lin had brought out, grinding her teeth in frustration, yelling, Xianxia, don't get too smug too soon. I went directly to the Xin family ancestral hall, leaving her to mutter to herself. I kneel in front of my mother's plaque, bowing to thank her for giving me life and raising me. Xianxia stormed in, took down my mother's plaque, threw it heavily to the ground, stomped on it several times, looking smug. You won't be the crown princess for long. No need to inform the concubine. In my anger, I snatched the plaque from under her feet, but my hands were stomped on, leaving bloodstains. When I looked closely at the plaque, I noticed that my wife had been changed to concubine. I angrily asked father, what's going on here? Father replied confidently, Luna is going to be the empress. She needs the status of a legitimate daughter. Anyway, you won't be the crown princess for long. What's the harm in letting your sister have it? I was furious. My heart grew cold. I drew Han Lin's knife, cut off my sleeve, feeling desperate. Today, I sever ties with the family. From this day on, I have no further relations with the Xin family. No one expected that the crown prince would suddenly come in with an imperial edict. The Duke of the State sold the flood information to the grain merchants in advance, causing the price of rice to rise, taking the opportunity to earn commissions, which goes against the way of officials, making the people cold-hearted. The evidence is conclusive, and the crime is unforgivable, but considering his contributions to disaster relief, it is specially granted that the Xin couple's property be confiscated, and they are exiled to the northern wilderness. Father and my stepmother cried bitterly, kneeling and begging me to plead for them. I lowered my head, pretending to shed tears, half covering my mouth with a handkerchief, looking completely heartless. I already cut ties just now. The stepmother turned to Xianxia, holding her hand pitifully, saying, Luna, help mother beg for mercy. I don't want to be exiled. Xianxia was helpless and looked at the second prince, only to see the second prince directly slap away the stepmother's hand, looking full of disdain. Luna, your parents are beyond saving. The emperor already doesn't like me. Begging will only drag us down. Xianxia hesitated, but afraid of being implicated, she didn't dare speak, and could only follow the second prince to slip away without looking back. I asked the crown prince, how did you know about father selling information? Father clearly did it very secretly, he said. This matter had already been under investigation for a while. Just didn't expect the one greedy for money and the one helping in a crisis were the same person. Just yesterday, I heard you say that your and Xianxia's clothing looked similar. Your wedding dress was custom made, and not the same as Xianxia's. What special are the jadeite pearls on it? Worth a fortune. Not something the Duke of the State's salary could afford. For the wedding dress to be altered to look similar, it would need quite a bit of silver. So I started to get suspicious and had someone look into it. I was very surprised that he had actually picked up on the hidden meaning in my words back then. By the time we returned to the Eastern Palace, it was already very late. When the Crown Prince and I stepped into the Eastern Palace, a palace maid came running in a hurry to report, Crown Prince, you haven't come to my lady's place for 3 days. My mistress misses you so much she's lost her appetite and has been bedridden for days. Please, Crown Prince, hurry and go see her. The Crown Prince's expression didn't change. That consort Bai is the one dearest to the Crown Prince's heart. I thought the Crown Prince would go to consort Bai, so I just walked off on my own. I'm tired, I'll go back and rest first. As soon as I turned around, the Crown Prince grabbed my hand and softly said, Where's the Crown Princess going? I asked in confusion. I'm going back to my room to sleep. Then I'll go with you. Tell your mistress, if she's sick she should see the imperial doctor. I can't treat illnesses. Going there is useless. The Crown Prince flicked his sleeve and pulled me away with him. For this whole month, The crown prince has stayed every night in my Zhongcui palace, not once going to consort Bai's place, but everyone knows the crown prince fancies consort Bai. Consort Bai was originally just a palace made by the crown prince's side. In order to marry consort Bai, the crown prince even knelt outside the empress's palace for a whole day and night before he got her the title of consort. But now, has the crown prince shifted his affections to me? I was grinding ink, lost in thought, completely unaware of the crown prince's actions. The crown prince wrapped his arms around my waist, rested his chin on my shoulder, and kissed me gently. My love, what are you thinking about? So lost in thought. I was a bit shocked. How could the crown prince be so frivolous? This is the study, after all. He doesn't seem like someone who understands propriety. My face flushed red with embarrassment, and I was at a loss. My personal maid Peony came to report. Consort Bai has attempted suicide. Please, crown prince, come take a look. I quickly pulled his hands away and probed. Crown prince, shall we go have a look? The crown prince lost interest and said with a straight face, no, whether she lives or dies, let her be. Since I married into the Eastern Palace, the crown prince has never visited the consort. If anything happens, outsiders will surely say I'm jealous. Their spit alone could drown me. I'd like to accompany your highness to visit consort Bai. The crown prince paused for a few seconds, seeming to consider it. All right. He casually grabbed my hand and called out, someone, prepare the carriage. Moonlight Palace. Consort Bai was holding a white silk rope, threatening to take her own life, surrounded by palace maids and eunuchs. Let go of me. I don't want to live anymore. The crown prince doesn't want me. What's the point of living? As the crown prince and I approached the door, consort Bai made an even bigger scene, kicking away the stool, clearly waiting for the crown prince to come save her. I originally thought the crown prince would be anxious and make a move, but in the end, he did indeed make a move, walking over to a nearby chair and sitting down, looking coldly, as if watching a play. I had no choice but to sit down as well. Luckily, there was a quick-eyed and quick-handed guard who cut the white silk, and consort Bai fell to the ground, saving her life. Consort Bai cried out, how can the crown prince be so heartless? Just 1 month, and you've forgotten about me. Don't you care whether I live or die? She pitifully lay on the ground, her face a bit pale, fragile and powerless, and it was clear she was a beauty in the making. I felt sorry for her. I almost wanted to help her up. I thought it was time for the crown prince to make a move. Consort Bai probably thought the same. She stretched out her hand and shouted, Your Highness, have you forgotten our oath? But the crown prince merely glanced at her faintly and said, Bring him up. I almost burst out laughing, but I held it in. This is no play. Lives are at stake. The crown prince's subordinates brought the person up and forced him to kneel. It was a man dressed in strange clothes, with a sharp mouth, monkey-like cheeks, and thin lips, and he didn't look like a good person. He glanced at consort Bai on the ground, then hurriedly shifted his gaze away. I guess these two have something going on. The crown prince took out a small box from his waist, delicate and compact, slowly opened it, and looked at the man. What is this? Do you recognize it? The man quickly glanced at it, then continued to lower his head in silence. Consort Bai, what do you say? The crown prince turned the object towards consort Bai, who clearly seemed a bit guilty, avoiding eye contact, and quietly responded, while pressing on her own chest, I don't recognize this disgusting insect. I curiously leaned forward to look. This isn't a dead insect. It's a bit disgusting looking, and it gives off a foul smell. I couldn't help but gag and vomit. Is the crown princess all right? The crown prince threw the box in front of the man, then walked to my side, gently patting my back. Do you want me to call the imperial doctor? I waved my hand, saying, no need. Maybe seeing me in discomfort. The crown prince smiled warmly at me, causing my heart to flutter slightly. Then I'll act quickly. He returned to his usual indifference, pointing at the box on the ground. Consort Bai, this is the poisonous insect you planted on me. Back then, you used this poison to control me and made me take you as a consort. And I've also found out about what your childhood sweetheart did. Your excuses won't work. The evidence is on you. The lover's poison generally has 2 types, the male insect and the female insect. The male insect is already dead, and the female insect won't survive either. If the mother insect is not forced out of consort Bai's body, consort Bai's life will be in danger. I think, in the last life, the crown prince died young, probably because of this poisonous insect. I heard that consort Bai enjoys the crown prince's favor every night, and the affection never stops. The crown prince from the previous life couldn't have died because of running out of ammunition and people, right? After all, he was physically weak. but on the wedding night, he still had plenty of energy. Consort by suddenly deflated like a balloon, slumped down, but the man seemed more energetic, pleading. It was all Consort by's doing. I was just following orders. Crown Prince, please spare my life. Consort by was furious and slapped him hard. When you lusted after my body, did I order you to do that? A woman serving 2 husbands. Your taste is really heavy. I gave the Crown Prince a look of disdain, habitually avoiding him. The Crown Prince quickly explained, I didn't touch her. Really? The Moonlight Palace instantly turned into a battlefield, with Consort by and her childhood sweetheart fiercely fighting. The guards quickly rushed in to stop them, trying to separate the two. The Crown Prince hurriedly protected me and left, leaving the scene to his confidant Han Lin, only saying, take them to the dungeon first, and await further instructions. When the Crown Prince and I arrived at Xianxia Palace, the imperial physicians were already waiting. Taking the pulse was unnecessary. With the experience from the previous life, I am very clear that I am nothing more than having. I touched my lower abdomen, thinking, in this life, I've given him a different father. I wonder if it's the same as before. In the previous life, the child and I only had one encounter. After giving birth to the child, I went on an expedition, and when I came back, I didn't have time to raise him, and then I died. I truly feel guilty towards him, so in this life, I will surely fulfill my responsibilities as a mother. The imperial physician congratulated me and said, it's a happy pulse. The Crown Prince was very happy and gave a great reward to Xianxia Palace. The Empress found out and gave a great reward to Xianxia Palace. The Emperor was delighted and gave a great reward to Xianxia Palace. So, this child has nothing to do with me and the Crown Prince, but is from Xianxia Palace. The news of the great rewards quickly spread to the second prince's palace. Shenluna got angry, threw things, and slapped her stomach. Why are you so useless? Are you sure it's just a problem with the stomach? The second prince hurriedly picked up the things Shenluna threw, running here and there. He broke an antique vase and was heartbroken. As there aren't many valuable things in the palace, he finally got angry and shouted, stop. Shenluna glared at him. What? Can't I throw things? The second prince immediately backed down, timidly saying, you can throw things, but not this. If your sister accidentally broke it, wouldn't that? He didn't finish his sentence, but Shenluna understood and smiled. Your brain is actually a bit useful. The second prince thought to himself. The ladies in the palace all do this. I've heard it so many times. Who needs a brain for that? Forget it. As long as you understand. It's been raining for a long time this month. And finally, the weather cleared up. Today is the day the Crown Prince is meeting the barbarian envoys. But Shenluna, along with the Empress, arrived early in the morning at Xianxia Palace. Congratulations, sister, you're pregnant so quickly. Shenluna was saying words of congratulations, but her 5 fingers were tightly clutching the white skirt. I watched her and the Empress exchanging words calmly. Shenluna said that the peony and the peonies in the imperial garden were blooming beautifully. Looking at more beautiful things will make the child born beautiful. The Empress agreed, saying it made a lot of sense, and even if it didn't, going for a walk was still good. I knew the imperial garden would definitely be visited. Shenluna also had no good intentions. Imperial garden, all flowers blooming together. It was indeed beautiful. Let's rest in that pavilion. As they walked, Shenluna pointed to a pavilion in the distance, saying, let's sit, have some good tea, snacks, and enjoy the flowers. It should be nice. The Empress silently agreed. With the support of the peony, I walked carefully. Unexpectedly, when I stepped onto the stairs of the pavilion, my foot slipped. I grabbed Shenluna, who was walking in front, without thinking. Maybe I didn't control my strength well, and since Shenluna wasn't standing steady, she fell forward too. Peony pulled me, and I barely managed to stand firm, but Shenluna really fell, and her white dress was dyed bright red with blood. Shenluna's face went pale, and she cried out, it hurts. The Empress shouted anxiously, Imperial physician. I stood by coldly, just watching. The Imperial physician said, Shenluna has miscarried. Since it was still early, the reaction wasn't obvious, just as I expected. When I saw that red hem, I already knew. Shenluna's scheming heart ended up ruining what little fortune she had. Shenluna cried and said, Shenelity, you did this to me. The Empress was furious. Yuner, do you admit your guilt? I quickly knelt down, intending to argue a few words, but the Empress shook her head at me. She said, today the barbarian's envoy is visiting. We can't have more trouble in the harem. I obediently shut my mouth. Forget it, for the child's sake. The Empress punished me with a month of confinement in Xianxia Palace. which was also to give Xianluna an explanation. Xianluna still seemed dissatisfied, crying non-stop. The Empress told me to go back and rest first, so I wouldn't upset Xianluna here. I'm very obedient. Anyway, I got tired of listening. I returned to Zhongshui Palace. The Crown Prince hadn't come back yet, only hearing that his meeting with the barbarian envoy didn't go very smoothly. I know. The war against the barbarians is about to start. Under house arrest in the palace, with nothing to do, I started to stitch the sachets, one after another. Master, why don't you say anything? Peony helped me bring the needle and thread, fuming. Clearly, someone smeared wax on your shoe soles. I looked calm and asked, have you figured out who did this? Peony was very angry and said, the one responsible for the shoes is the new palace maid, Xiao Chui. She almost got silenced, so she confessed everything. The second princess wife is such a terrible person. She deserved to lose the child. I wasn't angry, still focused on my embroidery. First, keep Xiao Chui under control. Make sure she has food, drink, and a place to stay. Take care of her first. Tell others that she is dead. Understood, master. It's late. I'll help you change and rest. I nodded and put down the sachet I had just finished stitching. I lay on the bed and found it hard to fall asleep. My mind kept thinking about what I could eat, tossing and turning. I vaguely heard the sound of a window opening. I saw the shadow of someone by the curtain becoming clearer. The thief was getting closer. I pulled out the dagger hidden under the bed, hid to the side, and prepared for a fight. When a large hand gently lifted the bed curtain, I kicked him in the chest, holding the dagger, and stabbed at him. It's me, a familiar male voice, with a slight cough. Cough. That was brutal. That kick. Even the military generals might not have your skills. I took out a fire striker, lit the lantern by the bed, and when I saw the thief's face, I was a bit speechless. Crown Prince, why climb through the window when there's a door? Why didn't the night guards report it? Mother Empress grounded me, so I had no choice but to climb through the window. The Crown Prince slowly walked towards me and softly said, the barbarian envoy tried to poison me, but I've already captured him. The barbarians intend to declare war. Father Emperor sent me to fight them. I'll be leaving tomorrow. I was a bit surprised. I didn't expect the barbarians to make such a blatant move so quickly, and the Crown Prince had already taken precautions. In the last life, the Crown Prince had met the barbarian envoy, and not long after, he mysteriously died. The Crown Prince in this life was indeed different. The Crown Prince spoke calmly, as if it were not something happening to him. Consort was used by the barbarians to place poisonous insect on me. When the barbarian envoy saw that I was strong and healthy, they wanted to send someone to find consort to use another poison, but Han Lin caught them in time. Suddenly, he looked at me and smiled slyly. I also discovered something interesting. Han Lin found out that your sister secretly met with a guard, and the second prince was in the maid's quarters. I suddenly realized, so Xianluna's child isn't the second prince's. The Crown Prince asked me, what do you want to do about it? I said, let Han Lin handle it for now. I took out the sachet I had just embroidered and hidden under my pillow, tying it around the Crown Prince's waist. I reminded him, inside this is the secret to defeating the barbarians. Remember to take it out and look at it before the battle. He nodded and looked at me with deep affection. I thought I would need to explain, but unexpectedly, he believed me without any need for explanation. I nervously asked him, why do you trust me? He smiled and said, I can read minds. I awkwardly smiled and dismissed it as nonsense. Anyway, he believed me, but I didn't he understand something. Do you like me? The Crown Prince smiled. You just figured it out. I glared at him. I just don't he understand where all this affection for me came from. The Crown Prince reached out and touched my head, looking at me with indulgence. Love at first sight. Have you ever heard of it? He said that in his country, it's all monogamy, so he would also be loyal to me. I gave a fake smile. Li Atlas, in the Great Xia dynasty, 3 wives and 4 concubines are the norm. You're obviously trying to fool me. The Crown Prince smiled but didn't say anything. This battle lasted almost a year. Soon, the news of the Crown Prince's overwhelming victory spread to the palace. I also successfully gave birth to a son. The Emperor and the Empress were still alive. Xianluna urged a few times, wanting the second prince to go to the battlefield, but the second prince was useless. His martial abilities were so poor he didn't even qualify to go to the battlefield. She couldn't jump around anymore. The Crown Prince was about to return to the capital. I was holding the child at the palace gate to greet him, thinking that life was peaceful. But who would have thought that Xianluna would suddenly jump out from behind me, holding a knife and stabbing at me, shouting, in another life, I will definitely be the Empress. But the Crown Prince protected me. Using his hand to block a knife for me, he said, "With this, we're even now." Shenluna was brought before the emperor and the empress. I asked Peony to release Xiao Chui and explain everything clearly. Secret meetings with a lover, harming the royal heir, attempting to assassinate the crown princess. Shenluna was unforgivable, and she was executed on the spot. The second prince didn't dare to make a sound, but I knew he wasn't incapable of biting. He just lacked the opportunity. Not long after, the emperor's end was near, and he lay in bed all day. The second prince, leading the elite assassins he secretly trained, stormed into the imperial palace, surrounding it heavily. I styled my hair, put on my armor, and led a group of soldiers, brandishing my sword to break through. Without my day and night training, the second prince of this life really was no match. When I stabbed at the second prince with my blade, his gaze was still as fierce as when he stabbed at me in the last life. The crown prince hurried over, looking relieved. I've seen this look in books, heroic and majestic, the style of a great heroine. I blushed a little and nodded at him. I know you just swapped souls. After the crown prince ascended the throne, I became the only empress in the harem.